Welcome to this week's edition of Whether or Not. We have a full episode for you today with stories on the new discovery of an 80,000-year-old human finger bone, as well as coal and natural gas production. Also, Bree has a feature on how the weather impacts home improvement stores. All that and more, Whether or Not, starts right now. Hello everyone, I'm your host Brandon Sawyer.
And I'm your forecaster, Juklo.
So Addis, any hope of some spring-like weather finally making its way here to State College?
Yeah, we do, Brandon. Finally, we're going to see some warmth that we haven't seen in a couple of months. That'll be coming this weekend. Unfortunately, it's not going to last very long. We're going to see some more changes by early next week, but I'll get to more on that later in my forecast.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, but first, nature in the news. Archaeologists recently announced the discovery of a fossilized human finger bone found in the desert of Saudi Arabia that they said was 85,000 years old. If confirmed, the finding would be the first and earliest Homo sapien fossil found on the Arabian Peninsula, as well as the oldest specimen of our species to be directly dated outside of Africa. Along with recent finds of 80,000-year-old human teeth from Asia and 65,000-year-old human relics from Australia, the Arabian finger bone provides further evidence that early modern humans spread out of Africa much earlier and farther than previously thought. It's a discovery that we've been expecting for a while, said Robin Inglis, an archaeologist at the University of York in England. It's become increasingly clear that humans dispersed far out of Africa before 60,000 years ago, a date suggested by genetics.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Wednesday announced its 10th annual Top Cities list, which ranks the 25 U.S. metropolitan areas with the most Energy Star certified buildings in the preceding calendar year. Philadelphia came in at number 15 with 157 buildings. Quote, earning a spot on the Energy Star Top Cities list is a recognition of commitment to cutting building-related energy costs and reducing waste, said EPA Assistant Administrator for Air and Radiation, Bill Wayrum. With help from Energy Star, city leaders and building owners are working together to strengthen their economies, foster competition, and create a healthier environment. The Top Cities list shows how cities across America are embracing energy efficiency as a proven path to financial savings and a healthier environment. Together, these buildings have saved more than $4.5 billion on energy bills and prevented greenhouse gas emissions equal to the annual electricity use of more than 3 million homes.
Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing, or PHWFF, began in 2005 serving wounded military service members at Walter Reed Army Medical Center returning from combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. PHWFF brings a high-quality, full-spectrum fly fishing program to an ever-expanding number of disabled active military service personnel across the Veterans Affairs healthcare system. PHWFF has become recognized as an innovative leader and model in the field of therapeutic outdoor recreation for the disabled through its successful application of the sport of fly fishing as a rehabilitation tool. Howard West, Desert Storm Army veteran, had this to say about his experience. I haven't felt this type of fellowship since I actually served with my fellow soldiers. It's been incredible. The people, the professionalism, the outpouring of the community, everything everyone does to support this organization is unbelievable. The third annual PHWFF weekend in Pennsylvania is scheduled for May 4th through 6th, and you can find more information about it online at the Kettle Creek Watershed Association's website.
The U.S. Energy Information Agency Tuesday released its short-term energy outlook, projecting a 5% decline in coal production, another record year for domestic natural gas production, and an increase in wind energy generation in 2018. At the same time, EIA said carbon dioxide emissions will increase by 0.9% in 2018 and another 1% in 2019 after declining by 0.7% in 2017. Other projections include natural gas. U.S. consumption of natural gas will increase 5.7% in 2018, with electric generation the leading cause for this increase. Gas-fired electric generation is expected to increase from 32% to 34% in 2018. Coal-fired electric generation is expected to remain at 20% in 2018. Last but not least, April to September regular gasoline prices are expected to average $2.74 a gallon, up from an average of $2.41 a gallon last year. Well, a good evening. I think something we all deserve is some warmer weather, and that is just what the doctor ordered. We will be seeing milder weather, also some sunshine for much of this weekend. The setup for Friday looks like this. We'll have one area of low pressure moving off to our north and east. Cold front extending from that will only reach about the Pennsylvania-New York border. So on the warmer side of the front, we'll see the stronger southwesterly breeze kick in and that'll allow our temperatures to soar well into the 70s on Friday. We will be watching the next area of low pressure across the Midwest that will be moving its way in by later in the day on Saturday. And I think Saturday is dry for much of us. Only exception might be northwestern PA, but breeze will continue. We will see increasing amount of cloud cover. Notice the rain will spread into portions of western Ohio and Indiana. Even some snow on the northern side of that front where it will be cold enough. Now, as we head into Sunday, the front and the system itself moves east, so we will see rain by the time we head into Sunday afternoon here in State College, especially across central and western Pennsylvania. I think the rain arrives for you in Philly by Sunday night. Notice in behind the front, we'll see some chillier air. The snow will continue across the upper Great Lakes and into southern Canada. So while it will be warm this weekend, it won't be quite that warm as we head into early next week. For Friday, though, lots of sunshine. Get out and enjoy this because it is going to be a spectacular afternoon. 77 for a high with a southwesterly breeze of 10 to 15 miles per hour. Friday night, a very mild night. Our average high this time of year in the upper 50s, so our low Friday night will be close to where we should be for our high under a partly cloudy sky. Now, Saturday, we will see increasing clouds ahead of that storm system, but I think much of the state remains dry, 73 degrees for a high temperature. But that changes by Sunday. We'll see that rain advance in ahead of the cold front. Temperatures not quite as mild. This is when they'll start to tumble. 63 degrees for a high, and that will likely be reached earlier in the day. And we'll see temperatures falling as we head throughout the afternoon and evening. Coming up next, Bree has a feature on how the weather affects business.
Winter is coming to an end. Well, hopefully, and with that, spring is finally starting to peek its head out. At least that's what these home improvement stores are hoping for. Right now, I'm in front of the Home Depot store in State College to get the facts on how exactly the weather affects these stores. Weather affects everyone's everyday lives, and with that affects what they need and then go buy. I wanted to look more into how businesses look to optimize on weather opportunities or to do damage control if need be. I was able to talk with Joni, a manager at Home Depot, about how the weather affects the growth or reduction of sales during specific times of the year.
Weather and weather patterns are pretty impactful on Home Depot's business. From a general standpoint, spring in particular, since it is spring, snow in April really does have a pretty big impact on the growth and the expected growth of our sales. This time of year, we're expecting 50, 60 degree weather. The sun's out, grass is starting to grow. We're starting to sell fertilizers and plants. People are really starting to get ready for spring, mulch in particular. But with 30 degrees and 2 inches of snow this morning, it does definitely put a damper. We had expectations for a big spring weekend here last weekend, and unfortunately, because of the snow events and the colder weather patterns, we're not seeing the lift in sales that we would necessarily expect this time of year. We do see quite an impact from storms. Our business does get a pretty dramatic lift, especially in areas hit by big storms. Hurricanes, coastal stores, Hurricane Sandy in particular was pretty devastating for the coastline in New Jersey and in points north, and Home Depot really did have to respond and did see a pretty high increase in sales. So we do see we are very impacted by weather in a lot of cases, in a lot of situations.
For these reasons, it is vital for these stores to have an accurate forecast and for their management team to keep up with what is currently happening with the weather.
Associate-based website does have an actual weather app right there on the home screen. Weather forecasts are pretty critical just in knowing what to expect for the day. If we have 6 inches of snow expected, we will have salt and shovels down on the sales floor ready for our customers to have quick access to, run in and get out. Days when there's a lot of rain expected, we will react to that with, dropping sump pumps, making sure we have brooms out to respond to water in people's basements. If we're expected to have a long stretch of hot days, we will have air conditioners down and ready and ready to walk out the door. It will, if we're expected to have a hot July, maybe our corporate buyers will make sure they have enough air conditioners to support the sales that would be generated through, a week of 90-degree days. So accurate weather forecasts can go a long way to helping us maximize and take care of our customers appropriately.
As the weather is different around the world, each individual store must know what is typical for their region so that they can plan accordingly.
This specific region, we don't see the hurricanes. We don't have major waterways that cause flooding, say in the Bloomsburg area with the Susquehanna River, or points in the Midwest with large rivers that cause a lot of flooding. And then we obviously don't have the hurricanes as being as impactful as it does on the coastal stores, or even in the South. Tornadoes aren't really an issue around here that we would need to worry about storm recovery from those kind of events. So we definitely are probably less impacted. We see bigger issues with power outages from storms and some water damage, but nothing too crazy. And then response to snowstorms and blizzards can be one of the weather issues that we deal with most often.
There are private sector organizations that are involved with multiple different facets that make up the industrial meteorology, IM for short, community. These communities work to provide valuable weather information for industrial, business, or commercial purposes. Meteorologists can help with advertising strategies that pertain to what is currently happening weather-wise in certain products that are needed during these times. They can also help with the best practices for shipping and handling, for transportation relies heavily on the weather. And a unique way that meteorologists can help is with part-time employment, engaging when more or less employees will be needed in the store, which can help increase sales or save the company money. By working together, meteorologists can work with businesses to optimize on opportunities for the business to prosper and provide better understanding for the weather to the community. For Whether or Not, I'm Bree Guy.
Well, I mentioned there will be plenty of warmth this weekend, but that will be changing as we head into early next week. As we recap our weekend, lots of sunshine for Friday. Temperatures well above average, upper 70s, close to 80. Clouds increase Saturday. Temperatures still on the mild side. The rain moves in ahead of that cold front Sunday afternoon. Temperatures will reach the 60s and then fall by Sunday night. Now, the extended period of the forecast remains unsettled and will remain chilly as well. Notice temperatures throughout the week remaining at or below average. Now, there's not going to be washouts each and every day. These will be just chances for some light scattered showers. It does look like that finally moves out by next Friday, with temperatures remaining in the mid to upper 50s.
Well, Addis, it's not looking too sunny here in the extended forecast, but it looks like we might be getting closer to average.
Yeah, not the sunniest of days. It will be a little on the unsettled side and chilly side, but as you mentioned, yeah, we're going to be closer to average, and that's the good news. Of course, we're getting into April now, so higher sun angle, warmer air tends to win out, and that's exactly what we're seeing as we're now heading into the middle part of April already. Can you believe that?
Wow. Well, speaking of April warmth, earlier in the show we did ask you which of these Pennsylvania cities does not share the record for highest April temperature at 98 degrees.
That's a little too hot.
Yeah, right. Was it A, Lock Haven, B, Norristown, C, Port Clinton, or D, Punxsutawney? If you said A, you are correct.
And there are actually 4 cities in Pennsylvania that have tied the record high for April. Norristown and Port Clinton, near the Schuylkill-Berks County line, both reached the mark in 1976. while Punxsutawney and the small community of Blowserville in Cumberland County both hit the record in 1915. Wow.
Well, it sure is nice to be talking about record highs as opposed to record lows, isn't it?
Yeah, I was getting pretty tired of that, so it's all smooth sailing from here.
That's right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I've been your host, Brandon Sawyer.
And I've been your forecaster, Addis Juklo.
Have a great weekend, everybody.